Hello everyone, this is Paul and I am here on day one of the Catholic Creator Conference. I hope you will forgive me if my eyes are looking weird. I've never filmed at this orientation, so I don't really know where the eye line focal point is supposed to be, so if it looks like I'm looking off into space, I'm trying my best to stay centered, so please forgive me for that. So far, it has been an absolutely wonderful start to the conference, and technically, it hasn't even really started yet. All that's really going on is registration and the drive down. Had to wake up at 5:40 in the morning just to make it here, but it was all very worth it. So far, I've been really impressed with the staff and the students that are students of Steubenville University, Franciscan University of Steubenville. They have just been exceptionally friendly. It was like being back at Comic-Con again, if I'm being honest, but possibly even better because they're Catholic. And so, as opposed to being enthusiastic because of shared interests, it's enthusiastic because everyone is here to rejoice in the Lord. So it's like even more of a common interest than Comic-Con. Now, let me get the negative out of the way right now, because you're probably thinking, Paul, not again. After your best games and best memories videos where you went into the video with wet hair, why didn't you do something about it? Well, I got to the dorm building and I noticed that it looked like a very, very comfortable place. The staff was super helpful about getting me where I needed to go. And I really like this room here. As you can see, I have this really comfortable bed right here. No, sorry, the camera's reversed. This is my bed over here. There we go. And the place is nice and air conditioned. Not that at this point I really need it because the showers took their sweet time getting the hot water. The problem is that I didn't realize that the water would overflow over the top of the shower floor, so some of my stuff got a little bit soaked. The bottom of my shirt, the left leg of my pants, the tag that had the number for the shuttle on it, but thankfully none of my vital stuff got damaged. Like both my phones, the one that you're seeing that I'm recording this with, and my flip phone are both fine. So no permanent damage on anything, but I was so flabbergasted that I made that mistake that I decided I was just going to pull my hair back and not bother with trying to press it up until we get to more of the socializing part of it. So now let's get on to what does it feel like to be back at Franciscan University of Steubenville for the first time since that dreadful high school conference. Honestly, it feels like I'm practically in an entirely new place because it feels like there's been so many renovations, and when we were there, we were relegated to the field house area. So a lot of this is almost completely new to me. Either that or I'm just looking at the dorms from a completely different angle. I think I remember the pool table, but that could just be a staple of dorms. It is even hillier than I remembered it being when I was in high school, but a lot of the grass is kept at a reasonable length. So what that means is that when the wind blew through the grass, you could actually see like the rippling effect much clearer. It was almost like this white ghost was flowing over the grass, almost like I could see the Holy Spirit. And it was just this very pleasant sight. Some of the students are shuttle drivers, so because it's a bit of a walk between this dorm and where we're having the conference, they gave me a number that I can call if I ever need a lift between buildings. Because again, the place is very hilly. If it weren't for them, I would probably have a lot of exercise I'd need to do. I got a chance to meet one of my subscribers. Her name is Hallelujah. She has a YouTube channel herself, so please check that out. You'll see a picture of me and her on screen. Hopefully I don't look too disheveled in that picture because I had to, like I said, woke up at 5:40 in the morning, so didn't have a chance to shower until just now. I haven't met too many new people at this point, but I have no doubt that I will, just because even just the students that are volunteering to help, that aren't actually part of the conference, they almost feel like they're my best friends because they're so friendly. And it just encourages me to want to make an extra effort to socialize. but not right now because I am very, very tired. So I'm probably, according to my watch, I have like over 4 hours until the next scheduled event. So I'll probably take a nap for a little bit, and then when I'm ready, call the shuttle and go to the next event. So stay tuned for hopefully lots of pictures of the scenery and lots more vlogs about the various things that I get into. And until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. See you around for the rest of the conference. Hello everyone, I am here at the Christ the Teacher building at Franciscan University of Steubenville. There's also a Christ the King building, which is where we're going for Mass. But we've got a whopping like 3.5 hours to go. Or 2.5, one of the two. So I thought I'd give more thoughts on what I think about the conference as it's progressing. Like I said, so far nothing has really happened yet. I've just been exploring around the campus. I got to take a picture of myself next to a fountain that was depicting how Noah was both faithful and he took action when God called him. He didn't just say, well, God, I believe in you, and call it a day. Like, his faith required taking action. So I thought that that was really neat. I saw one of the buildings that I saw during my first time at Steubenville a long, long time ago, and just the amount of green is just absolutely amazing. So I am really looking forward to the opportunity to possibly have an excuse to explore, but I don't want to explore too much because the campus is huge and it's also under a lot of construction. But so far I haven't really met too many people new besides who I already mentioned, but I did see someone from my former parish, so that was nice. It's nice to know that there was someone that I wasn't expecting to see, and yet I got to see someone new anyway, which I thought that was cool. So right now I'm just gonna kind of meander around and see when things get started and when I can start meeting people. But overall, just the buildings and the scenery are really, really nice, and I'm just feeling like I'm having a premium time while I'm here. All right, I'll keep you posted, and you all have a wonderful day. Hello again, everyone. The conference hasn't even started yet, and yet I'm already filled with so much wonder that I'm returning to all these places where I had that conference in high school that completely revolutionized how I was going to tell people about my faith. In this place, we have the J.C. Williams Center, which I completely forgot that that's what it was called. When I was here, it looked quite a lot different, so I almost didn't recognize it, but that crooked staircase that you can see right behind me, that was more or less a dead giveaway that I was in the same place. I went to the place where the restaurants were, and they didn't have all the tables or the computers that I went on to check the internet, because I didn't really have this kind of phone back then. But overall, even if hypothetically I'm wrong, which I don't think I am because it's in nice proximity to the field house, this was one of the better parts of the conference. Like, when I was here, I had some people that I played cards with, and I remember going through a bookstore, and I thought that was pretty cool. And even just looking at it right now, it just looks like a very comfy, very nice place to just relax and have fun. So, again, all this, the conference hasn't even started yet. So thank you very much for joining me on this reminiscing journey, as I'm pretty sure I've gotten to most of the iconic places where things happened. I almost found the exact place where I found out that I was being bullied by my youth group, but it's hard to tell because there's a lot of construction. It was also hard to tell where the benches were, where we had our lunches. But at the same time, when I got to the entrance of the field house, the overwhelming emotion that flooded me was nostalgia. Because I just stood in that plaza with all the bricks and all the benches, and I just said, this is it. And it brought back a memory that I haven't thought of since high school. And that was, I remember someone, I don't know if it was me or if it was other teenagers, but someone in proximity to me was like running to the field house. Now, I didn't see any of the trophies in the field house, so I guess they must have renovated that part, but I hadn't even been thinking about the entrance to that field house this whole time. I was so busy paying attention to that putrid yellow and all that green. But for the first time since that stinking trip all those years ago, I remembered the entrance and I said, this is the place where it was. I also just got back from the chapel, so you'll see a couple of really beautiful pictures of that. I don't actually remember us going in that chapel at all. I wonder if there's like multiple chapels, or maybe I just was too busy thinking about my sins, because the only time I remember going to a chapel was during reconciliation. But either way, this place is just as hilly as I remember, if not more hilly. So I've definitely been getting my exercise, but I've been trying my best to stay out of the sun as much as possible so as to please my dermatologist. So with that, I think I'm done with the sightseeing, but who knows? Maybe I'll find the spot where I ran into the hill girl, but I doubt it because of all the construction. But if I do, you can bet I will let you know where the exact place was. So I will see you at whatever the next part of this conference is. Hello everyone, we are here at yet another nostalgic location. Back when I was here in high school, there were a whole bunch of tents with a whole bunch of tables lined along this grassy area. So behind me, you can see that there's quite a big chasm with a whole lot of trees in it. Now I see why they weren't worried about teenagers falling down, because either they've grown a lot of trees since then, or we were just smart enough not to go that close because the edge was covered in all these trees. So this tree right here was where we were when we were just lounging around, being lazy and talking to each other. And that pointed towards that brown stuff. That's where some people in my youth group were playing hacky sack, and I think that's also where we had the guys only talk. I don't remember a single word of it because I don't like guys only talks. So it just feels so good to be at a place where admittedly we had terrible food, but the shade was great. And this was also where there were those two Pennsylvania girls that I told you guys about in my video, where they came and gave all of us a hug, even me and my best friend at the time, and we were sticks in the mud back then. So if those Pennsylvania girls are somehow watching this, thank you for hugging us. So I think this is actually the end of our tour. And if not, I just want to thank everyone who's helped film. Thank you very much to the wonderful Steubenville student/worker who is helping me film this. You have been absolutely great with all your tour guides and your help. And like I said, the conference hasn't even started yet, and I'm having such a blast. So thank you for watching, and you all have a great rest of your day. Good evening, my audience. We are here at the end of day 1 of the Catholic Creator Conference. Quite a lot has happened since I last filmed for you guys. When I last filmed, I'm pretty sure it was either in the field house or it was where we ate lunch when I was here in high school. And since then, the conference actually started. We started out with Mass at the chapel. Now, the opening area of the chapel I recognized, but I did not remember a single thing about the interior. I remember it used to be very, very, very small. Like when you think a chapel, you think like a tiny little room. And this was like, you know, about as big as my parish church, if I'm not gonna lie. And since it was a weekday Mass, because this is a Thursday, everything was much shorter, but it was also so much more reverent. There was no music at all, which I'm not a big fan of singing anymore. So that is really great that it was able to be so solemn and so quiet, like you could barely hear anything. And then we went into a new building that wasn't there when I was a teenager. It was called Christ the Teacher Building. The Christ the King Building was where we went to the Mass. So Christ the Teacher has a whole bunch of studios that we're going to be able to use for filming. So I booked one during the men's only talk, because you guys know me, I cannot stand separated events. We had the main talk in like this conference-like room, kind of like what we did at conferences of the past, but just on a much smaller scale. Like, I'm pretty sure there's only like between 30 to 50 people here. I don't even think we've crossed 100 as far as the folks that are coming here. But I do think that the people that I have spoken to so far are really nice. This couch has Tetris pieces on it. I just noticed that as I was filming. Anyway, outside of that conference room were a whole bunch of people at booths that were advertising their various Catholic organizations, like a Catholic bookstore and a missionary place and an upcoming dating site. In fact, I've gotten to know the husband and his wife that are running the business for the dating website, and they have expressed interest in me doing a collab so that I can get more interest in this program. So I'm really hoping that if you or anyone you know of is looking for a soulmate in a Catholic setting, that maybe this new dating site will be how you find your spouse, or at the very least, a very good friend. As I said before, I got a chance to meet 2 of my subscribers here, and they have both been absolutely wonderful to talk to. It is so great to just casually talk to them outside of a live stream so that they can see my reactions. I think I've met about 4 new people so far, and I've really gotten along with them quite well. One girl, her name is, well, I don't know if she wants me to reveal her name, actually. I do have her Instagram, though, which I will put it at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and see all the beautiful art that she does. She was really interested in me giving her a tour of the campus, and since I went here in high school, I was able to say, like, this is the spot where all this happened, and this is where I was standing when we did this. And she was like, yeah, I didn't have a hard time imagining you as a scrawny teenager. But then when I said, like, because the way that it worked was, I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, can you imagine me as a slightly scrawnier teenager? And she said, I can't imagine you being any thinner. The weather here has been really, really great. A little bit hot during the daytime, but actually pretty cold. Like, I'm regretting that I didn't bring a jacket because I thought that it would be really great. But thankfully, this place is really massive, very, very hilly. Like, I said that in my experiences at Steubenville Youth Conference video, but I cannot underestimate enough how much vertical walking I've had to do while I was here. And there has been a lot of construction, so I haven't been able to see all of the places. Like, I don't think I've seen the place where the Hill Girl was, for example. But at the very least, I saw most of the highlights. I got to go inside the field house. The students and the workers here have just been so insanely nice. Like, it feels like I've known them forever, honestly. One of the students even gave me a tour, and I was like, oh, while you're on this tour, I'm remembering this place. And at one point I said, can you take me back to the place where we had lunch? And I gave her just the description of trees next to a cliff, and she found it, and we filmed there, and it was so great. Because you all know I didn't have the best of times at that conference when I went as a high schooler. So I'm using this opportunity to, like, transform that experience so that this time I can actually have a good time coming to Steubenville. And so far, I've had a blast. It's definitely been hard approaching people, and I'm still trying to work out how best to incorporate the talk into my YouTube videos. But at the very least, I did really like the homily during Mass. I know I'm going all over the place. It's partially because I'm tired. The priest talked about the faith of Bartimaeus, and yet Bartimaeus didn't have the fullness of truth like we do. And so he asked, well, what kind of faith did Jesus say that he had? And it was simply the fact that he persevered through what he did know about Jesus. And that's what Jesus said when he said, your faith has healed you. So it got me thinking, like, okay, well, maybe, even though I am a practicing Catholic, maybe I don't know everything about the faith, But Jesus is hoping that at the very least I try my best to learn about him, and if he does call me to something, even if I have imperfect knowledge, that I can still try my best to follow him anyway. So with that, I think I'm going to call it a night. But tomorrow I have a studio booking so that one of my upcoming Catholic reviews can be in a professional studio. Hopefully I'll still have professional footage so you don't have to just see my mug. And I don't really know anything else from there. I know at some point I'll have to leave the campus to go and eat dinner, but I already have a group of people who invited me to go to dinner with them. So it's nice that I already have a group of people that are willing to hang out with me and not leave me behind. So with that, thank you very much for watching so far. I hope you'll look forward to the rest of the vlog, and you all have a great night. Bye. Good evening, everyone. This is Paul, and we are approaching, or I should say this is the end of the Catholic Creator Conference. The only reason I'm still here is because we have Mass tomorrow morning to meet our Sunday obligation because they didn't give us a vigil Mass, and then we're going home. But thankfully, my friends Danielle and Matt are coming over that same day, so I'm going to be wiped out. So it won't feel like it was a resounding, well, Mass ending is actually quite a great way to end it, because what's better to end a conference than receiving Jesus within yourself? So I wanted to take this chance to kind of give a bit of an overview of the conference. I might repeat some things from the previous videos because I haven't looked over the other filmings, but in general, I thought that the keynote speeches were, I didn't really get a consistent vibe from them. I thought it was cool they reiterated parts of Pope Leo's whatever the Latin name of the encyclical is, where he talked about like AI and the rise of technology, and reminding us that we are living in a digital continent, and like putting it into more perspective for those of us that are creators. That was honestly really cool. And so I started thinking to myself, like, well, the thing about continents is that they are a culture ultimately. And so if we want to evangelize for a different culture, and the digital world is a culture, then maybe I'll have to start studying how things like memes and Gen Z language, or whatever they call it, is, so that I can better evangelize on this channel. Dinner was an absolute nightmare the first day. Sorry guys, this phone keeps sliding around. We went to an Irish pub, which was actually surprisingly quiet, all things considered. There was a guy playing an actual guitar outside for the people who were seated outside. And, you know, at points it got a bit loud, but it was a neat touch. But at the same time, there were like 12 of us at one table. And you know me, I tend to crash out when I'm around more than like 2. So I was pretty exhausted, pretty overwhelmed, and it took a really long time for us to get our food in check. So for today, I just said, hey, I think I'm gonna stick to just going to fast food. So we went to KFC, which was way more reasonable, and I had a stupid amount of free time. I think we got done with KFC at around, I think like 5 or 5:30. And then since the conference ended, we were allowed to just go to bed whenever we wanted. Technically, there was a VIP mixer where like people who paid extra could like get their own dinner without having to go out to dinner. And they were allowed to like have exclusive meetings with like some of the speakers. I did not pay for a VIP attendance. I almost did. But ultimately, I talked with one of the people who founded this conference, and he thinks that maybe, or he thought that maybe it really wasn't the best idea for me. I am very impressed with most of the people that I've met here. I don't think there's a single person I've met that I can say that I dislike. Pretty much everyone expressed interest in following my channel. There were a couple of people that approached me that said, like, I overheard you talking about your channel and I want to follow it. There were a grand total of, I think, 4 people that recognized me, which this is the first time I've been recognized for something I've done online since I met Danielle, when she recognized me for some of the stuff that I had done on a Facebook page before I had my YouTube channel. Two of them already knew that I was coming, and they had subscribed to my channel since way before this conference. With me not being the best with faces, they definitely had to introduce themselves first, but I got pictures with both of them so that I could say, like, hey, I met my subscribers. There was one other guy, I won't say his name in case he wants to stay anonymous, but I do have a picture of him. And he did say that he had been subscribed to my channel for about 8 months, and he didn't recognize me by my face, but as soon as the question inevitably came up, as it does with like literally everyone here, of what are some of the things you create, because it's a creators conference, he said, "You're the Catholic gaming nerd? I didn't even know you were coming. I've been following you for 8 months. I'm the one with face blindness here, so why is it that so many people didn't recognize me by my face?" I have gotten quite a lot of people that have said that they're interested in following my channel and doing collabs. There's one girl I met who I did not get a picture with, but she lives close-ish to where I live in my home state, so we're actually going to be able to meet up quite a few more times, and she even invited me to join one of her groups, so I'm super excited about that. Mass has been lovely. So far we've only done weekday masses, so they're a lot shorter. They don't say the Creed, the Gloria. There's only 2 readings instead of 3, and the homily was optional, although our priest decided to do the homily anyway. But tomorrow, we're going to be doing a full-on hour-long Mass with the Creed and the Gloria and all 3 readings, and possibly also music, because we haven't had any instrument players. We had one guy who knew how to sing in Latin, but that's the closest we've ever gotten. But otherwise, it was pretty much perfectly silent. We didn't even say the Alleluia before the Gospel. I don't know if that's allowed, but then again, maybe because it's a weekday Mass, that's not technically required. I think I do remember that. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you want to. There's definitely been a lot of talking and not too much downtime between things. There was a bit too much downtime on the first day. Like, we got there at maybe like 2, and the thing, or 1, it was about 1. And the thing didn't start until about like 4. So I had so much time to just like film myself in all the iconic places where I was at in high school. As far as the dorm, it's a very lovely place. The guys had their own entire floor because they wanted most of us to be in the same dorm. Some people decided to get either Airbnbs or hotels instead of the dorms, but they had to pay extra for that. So I was just like, yeah, no, I'm taking the dorm. And I'd like to say that the men's restroom quarters were, for the most part, really nice. At one point, we ran out of soap. So then when I reported it, then we got the soap, but then the soap dispenser had such trouble that it just literally like barfed out soap all night and got all over the counter. And since the hand dryers were all automatic, none of us knew how to mop it all up. So I think a couple of guys finally got smart. Either that or I was just oblivious for a change, which almost never happens. So that should tell you how tired I am. Finally started bringing in some of the complimentary soaps from the bedrooms. I'm really grateful for the gentleman who let me borrow his jacket because I underestimated how cold it was going to be and how much the air conditioning was going to be blasting this whole time. I did get a chance to film in the studio. There was a professional studio with like lights and super cool microphones, and I filmed my Catholic perspectives on Lifelay. I'm not finalized on the title just yet, but it's coming as soon as I get the footage back and as soon as I can like edit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate footage, because again, I don't like what I look like when I got studio lights shining on me. I'm not the type of person that typically likes to give an overview of what I got out of conferences. As you all know, I tend to describe the scenery more than I describe the actual event itself. But in general, I think this was a net positive. I overall have really enjoyed talking to people. I've really enjoyed how many of the students that work here, as well as like the friars, because it's Franciscan University of Steubenville, have just been exceedingly nice, letting me hang out with them on several occasions. They even gave me a tour of the campus, and I got to say like, oh, hey, here's where I went when I was in high school. So there was a bit of back and forth between all of us. And so overall, I just feel like I had a premium experience that was equal to what I paid for the most part. They even gave me extra blankets when I was cold at night. So I would say this is probably a good solid like A or B plus. I didn't go to school, so I don't know how grading systems work, but I think most people would agree that that means pretty good. So I think I'll leave it here. If I have anything else to say after this, I'll just edit it in when I get home, but this is the last you'll hear from me at the conference itself. So you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye. Okay, sorry, I completely forgot to mention, so this is the actual last thing, that I'm not sure if I had enough room for all of the pictures to flow naturally into the speeches that I did. So if that's the case, let's play some special music for the rest of the pictures, or just have Paul's epic theme keep going like it usually does at the end. So again, thank you to everyone who put on this conference. Thank you for the students. I am at a loss for words for how great you guys have been, actually. I'm just too tired to articulate them right now, but you comment on my videos after I'm rested up, and you'll get a lot of joy coming from me. So remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye.